Next is our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Tonight, we'd just like to share with you something that we was prepared for our recent leadership summit involving all of our administrators here in the district. As we reflect on the school year we have just finished, 2014, 2015, it moves very quickly, very rapidly, but it does a very good job of capturing some of the major milestones of the past year. So if you turn your attention toward one of the screens.
Fall, you sink to yourself, 'cause you never know when the tide's gonna turn, the wind's gonna change, and we're gonna make it. The world's gonna learn and remember our name is midnight breaking. Through blood and tears in your eyes, 'cause tonight you come alive. They say we're broken, they say we're weak.
think that deserves a round of applause. Indeed, it was a great year, and we appreciate all of our students, our teachers, our administrators, our community that everyone works together so well to ensure that we have such success in our district, and makes us feel very proud to be a part of it. Tonight, we have a couple of items we want to cover. One thing is we want to give you an update on teacher evaluation. There have been a couple of big changes since our last report, and Dr. Christina Melton will brief us on where we are with teacher evaluation. Dr. Melton.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner. Madam Chair, board members, this is an update regarding the report that I initially gave on April the 22nd with teacher evaluations. Since then, we have a few updates we would like to share with you. First, I celebrate the collaboration between human resources and instruction. Dr. Jakes is heavily involved with this, and she and I are sharing responsibilities at this point, and we're going to divide those that are appropriate between our two departments. So she and her team have been instrumental with the preparation that we have made thus far. We received an email from a memo, an email from the State Department of Education in South Carolina on June the 5th that's going to bring some change compared to the report that I gave to all of you on April the 22nd. Initially, the state submitted a report to the Federal Government of Education, so the U.S. Department of Education had been requested by South Carolina to allow us to focus first on teacher evaluation of pre-kindergarten through 5th grade teachers as a tier 1, as a sense, to focus on that group first, and then bring in secondary teachers in year 2 and beyond that. The federal government did not approve the plan of South Carolina, so now we're making some revisions to be prepared for the 15-16 school year. As we look ahead to August, it's going to actually include all teachers with this new teacher evaluation model. That, of course, brings a change to our plan that I presented to all of you back in April, but we have a plan in place already, so we want to offer you an update of what we plan to do. First, we're sending a team to be trained this week, later part of this week, and then Dr. Jakes and I will have training at the latter part of August so that we too can be informed to make sure that the information we share is accurate and up to date, because you know there's always an up-to-date report. So I can give a report today and tomorrow it may change. But there's more credibility now with what I'm sharing because we did get a response from the federal government. So as we look ahead, our plan is going to be to provide a train-the-trainer model. I've asked principals within the last 2 weeks to send to me one name of an administrator and their faculty on their team of who they would like to have trained to be the trainer for their school. In addition to that, we're going to train all School District 5 administrators, so it's not a lone voice out there. Instead, everyone will be trained to make sure that they have accurate information to answer questions and to support our teachers. We have 3 district professional development days that we'll be using, 2 of which will focus on the teacher evaluation process. The 3rd is going to be for our teacher forum in February. So when the school year gets started, we're going to give a lot of time to this and attention. The mornings that our teachers are involved with professional development, the afternoons they will go back and focus solely on this teacher evaluation process, both in August and again in November. So we're going to do this over time rather than trying to throw everyone in the deep end, in a sense. We're going to do it slowly and making sure that we support our administrators so that we can also support our teachers throughout this process. As we get more training from the department, we're going to be able to add the details of our plan. But as we look ahead to the new year, we know now that all teachers will be involved with this model evaluation. So last week, Dr. Jakes and I crafted an email with Dr. Hefner's approval that we sent out to all the teachers in School District 5 so that they would be informed as quickly as we knew information rather than them returning in August and being surprised by this change of information. I have to say once more, our Faculty Advisory Committee has been heavily involved with this. So Dr. Jakes and I made sure that we alerted them of this change first, they and our principals. And then secondly, we sent out the email to all of our teachers so that they too would not be surprised. And then we've used social media and asked our principals as well to make sure that teachers are checking their inbox, because throughout the summer we know that teachers don't necessarily check email every day, and they shouldn't. They should be disconnecting to be refreshed for the start of the new school year. But we're trying to make sure the message gets out so that our teachers are not surprised when they return to us in August. Dr. Hefner, that completes my report with the update.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. And would you want to ask any questions of Dr. Melton on this topic?
Sure. Do any board members have any questions? Ms. Hammond.
Since it'll be a lot of this training, have they set the guidelines as far as you'll be given the guidelines from the federal government as to what teachers will be evaluated on? Is and it's spelled out very clearly, and yet, I know how maybe they're sending you little pieces, and I know teachers will be asking us.
Here's what I know of as of now, Ms. Hammond, and I'll add the disclaimer before I answer.
I understand.
Dr. Jakes and I have not had our training. So based on our understanding thus far with the memos that we have read from the department here in South Carolina, we're going to be provided a toolkit, and this toolkit is supposed to include all the resources that we will need to train our teachers. For example, PowerPoint presentations, notes to go with those presentations, handouts, activities for teachers to practice. So we're sifting through that, and in addition to that, we've created a district steering committee to make sure that we're including Dr. Gates, for example, here from the center. He's involved with this committee. We're using gifted and talented representation. We're using special education representation to make sure we're not solely looking at a general education staff focus. We're trying to make sure we're being holistic in our training. So as we get a little more intimately involved with this training and information, I'll have a better answer for you. But based on my understanding thus far,
You have the tools.
we will have the tools made available to us. Yes, ma'am.
And I had one more question. Once you have gotten the tools, you have trained in the trainer training method, I get it. And I think that'll be comfortable for teachers. But will they actually be evaluated at the very end of the year, like May? Is that when we should be prepared for whatever we're starting in August and September?
Yes, ma'am, that's a great question. The teachers that are continuing contract teachers have to go through their certificate renewal every 5 years, the way it has been historically. So with that, if I'm a teacher whose certificate is going to be renewed in June of 2016, I'll go through the entire process, meaning I'll have formal observations, I'll have to collect student work samples, I'll have to answer questions, do a written reflection, all the things that typically our second or third year teachers are doing. So those that are having their certificate renewed will have to be prepared to go through that process. And Dr. Jakes and I know that we have some teachers that need to be trained for that particular ADEPT system. In addition to that, the other pieces of the puzzle, which I presented to you all in April, the GBE process, goals-based evaluation, that's how we've always had it. Having classroom observations, there's a lot of things that we're currently doing, we will continue on doing. It's just the teachers that are either in their induction year, those that are first year in School District 5, they need to have extensive support to make sure they're successful. And then those that are going to be going through the certification renewal for the coming year. But everyone will have this training to make sure, regardless of where you are in your process of renewal certification, you have the information so that it's not quite so threatening and overwhelming and fearful for our teachers. But we felt like the train-the-trainer model would allow someone to be on-site and easily accessible to our teachers. If we only have people trained at the district office, you'd have to primarily resort to email or make an appointment. That's not convenient for our teachers. So the two of us felt like it was important to make sure there was someone at every school who could be the lead go-to person, and then the rest of the administrative team to be capable of answering the questions as well, or finding the resources to be able to answer the questions.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Milton. And we will now go to our monthly update from the Office of Design and Construction. It will be given by Keith McAllister of our staff and Barry Evans, who works with Cummings Southern Management, our outside construction management firm.
We're going to turn the speaker, there we go.
I saw the light earlier. Again, Madam Chair, Dr. Hefner, members of the board, it's a pleasure to be here this evening to bring before you an update for the new middle school. As we get started with the narrative portion of this, I want to say first that rest assured that every effort is being made at this time to bring the school in for an August occupancy. And with saying that, most of the exterior skin activities are finishing up. The brick veneer that you see from driving down the road, the metal panels that you see from driving down the road, a lot of the windows are in, some are still not in yet, but the materials are on site. And the site work is progressing nicely now. We're paving the area behind the building and starting to lay out the curves for all around the parking lots. And most of that stuff does take place at the rear end of the schedule, just so that all the main activity with the building is slowing down, and once that slows down, then you start to put in your parking lots around the perimeter so that they don't get damaged before they begin to be used. So the road widening, if you've noticed, the widening has been done. The final topping will not occur on that until we get closer to August, maybe into August. So again, we want the road and the parking lots to look new once they're put in and look new once the school begins using these same areas. Inside the building, we'll go to the aerials. The first aerial that you see here is really from the front. It's not the best picture in the world, being that we still have the connexes and job site trailers and stuff out front. I'm literally asking every 2 or 3 days when that's going, and they're starting to slowly be removed from the site now. The other aerial is looking from the loading dock end of the building where the kitchen's at, looking back towards the new high school. One thing you can... That's correct. One thing you can glean from these photos is from the top down, we're finished. We're getting finished around the perimeter where I started with this report. The perimeter skin of the buildings are finished, and you can, in the rear of the building, you can see the basketball court and that long drive, which is going to actually be paved tomorrow. 2/3 of what you see here will be concrete paved tomorrow morning. So all these site-related outskirts, sort of activities are going on every week now. The next couple of photos we have here, some comparisons between the renderings that you've probably seen way before I ever saw, and then the actual in-place work. And they're not at the exact same angle, but they're close enough so you can kind of see one versus the other now. We have another rendering versus an actual photo taken in the courtyard. These are, of course, they're not perfectly lined up, but it will give you an idea of what you saw earlier and now what you actually have at this stage. Again, here's a couple of interior renderings that you've probably seen in the past. One of the outside of the media center area, another one of the two common areas that you have in the classroom wings. Here what we have is basically, if you were to walk through there today, this is a typical corridor on the left-hand side in one of the classroom wings. On the right-hand side is the main thoroughfare, primary corridor, as I call it, going through the center of the building, and then you have your mezzanine hallway above that, and that's pretty well the feel and what you see when you go through there today. What we have here is a picture on the left-hand side of the kitchen hood and the utility distribution system, which is where the food service equipment plugs into underneath the hood. That work is about to wrap up, and the next major step in this area is to actually pour the floor, the epoxy flooring that will go in the kitchen. Once this happens, then the food service equipment can be brought in, and it'll really start shaping up and looking like a kitchen at that point. Here on the right-hand side, the biggest change between last month and this month is that the goals and the structure and the steel associated with the goals are in place. I was out there this afternoon, and they have offloaded the wood flooring for the gym. Actually, the wood flooring for the gym and the stage and the subflooring, which is basically plywood, is all in the gym and in front of the stage, ready to be put in place. So these two areas are taking shape very quickly. The last picture that we have is really on the inside of a courtyard, and it gives you an idea of not just the finishes, but the look that you have on the inside of the courtyard with the brick, the metal wall panels, the windows, and the only thing I think that would be missing in this picture, of course, be the finished landscaping and then the shades that you would have over the top of the first and second level windows. But getting pretty close to being done, as you can see in this picture here. Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you putting the renderings. It's especially helpful when you show us the rendering next to, what you've done. I think that really helps us a lot, so I appreciate you doing that for us.
Sorry, it wasn't professional photography, but we got it done.
No, it's just perfect.
We thank you, and we know that you are working double time, and we know that all of our folks are, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you. And at this time, we will go to Mr. Lynn Richardson, our Chief Finance Officer, for our monthly financial reports. Mr. Richardson.
I had blinking lights on mine and apparently it didn't want to work. Thank you, Dr. Hefner, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'd like to draw your attention to Exhibit C in your packet, which is the monthly expenditure report, or revenue and expenditure report for the month of May, which means we are 1 month away from the end of the fiscal year. First page shows the revenue. We still have $18.8 million left out of the $163.3 million budget. I'd also like to mention that we don't, in this current month, have the Richland County revenue showing here, so we're actually in a little bit better shape than what this shows. And then you have the detail on the next couple pages. We'll get over to the expenditure side, and I'll just draw your attention to the very last page, where we still have about 20% of our budget remaining, which is $32.5 million out of a $163.3 million budget. And I'll be glad to try to entertain any specific questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions? I have a question, Mr. Richardson. You mentioned earlier that we're still looking at revenue coming in, and I was looking at the revenue from local sources, and if I'm reading this correctly, it's $3.3 million. This is at the end of May, so we've got one more month to collect the revenue. Is that right? Is I'm from the local sources? And I know you mentioned that we don't have Richland County.
Well, that's mostly correct. We still have the month of June because we don't have May, like I said, for Richland County. But we also pick up some collections, that 60-day collections, I guess, after the end of the fiscal year that'll still be attributable to the current fiscal year.
Do you anticipate that we'll get all of the $3.3 million?
I think we'll be awful close.
Okay. Excellent. Any other questions? I think that's it.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Hefner. Next is public participation. We have 3 people who have signed up for participation.